Bam, what's up, boys? Let's go.
What's going on?
Let's go. Right here.
Like the fun bunch.
Right.
Come on, Big O.
There you go. There you go.
There we go. Hey, will you go ahead and check our audio for us there?
Let us know how our audio's going there, Turd Ferguson.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is our Tuesday get-together. This is Cigar Talk Live. And today, we got some Omaha blood in the place, and we are going to do our best not to talk about shitty football or gout, as we spoke about in our pre-production.
Yeah.
But if you do like what we're talking about, make sure you do the likes, the comments, the shares, the smash, the whole thing. Just do all the social things, and we appreciate it. Tonight, we are joined by two esteemed guests. To my left,
Full of steam.
Anthony Nichols.
Yes, sir.
To his left, Jamond Hackley. What's up, boys?
What's happening?
And I have,
Let's get this thing started now.
Salute.
Sorry for the white guy high five there to start off, but it just
That's all right.
was drinking beers and white guy high five.
That's it.
And tonight we are coming in live with a fan cam.
Yeah.
Fan cam, you guys ready? Flash him. Bam.
Hey.
There it is. It is. And we're back.
The crowd
Okay,
goes
there we go.
wild. Yeah. Crowd goes wild.
Damn. Well, actually, most people who are watching this probably know who you are, Jay, even though we're going to touch on it. T-Nick, will you give your life story in 90 seconds?
90 seconds. Omaha, born and bred, man. Been in Dallas for 15 years. Have 3 beautiful kids, man. And this is my hangout spot. My son knows, my 4.5-year-old son knows where I hang out. I'm at the lounge. Daddy, you at the lounge? He knows this,
Right on.
this is my second home, man.
Nice.
That's a good dad. That's a good dad.
That's good fathering right there.
That's what I say.
Yeah.
That is good father. Jay, what's your story in 90 seconds?
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
I wonder where he's gotten that from.
And you are not from Omaha.
I am not from Omaha, from the D.C., Maryland, Virginia area, but have been here in Texas for the past 12 years.
Okay.
So nobody actually takes credit for living in D.C. They have to say they live in the 3 states surrounding that.
Right.
Okay. Got it.
Good.
It's too
Good.
expensive, Pop.
Yeah. We're not from Iowa.
Pops, I don't think you've been put on the spot for your life in 90 seconds, but what is it?
My life in 90 seconds. Born and raised in Omaha, started selling stereos. Next thing you know, I'm working for the Japanese with Panasonic and having the time of my life. Then, God, what did I do next?
I think you had 3 kids, Pop.
I had 3
think
kids. They kept me a little busy. Raised you guys since you were about 5. And
But also before then, too.
no, I didn't do any fathering then. I was on the road. Traveling salesman, and worked my way to running Mannheim Steamroller, American Gramophone, ran a record label for a little while, started my own company, my marketing company, got snatched up by a friend that owns an oil company down here. I run that today during the day, and at night, I sit here and hang out with all you good people.
Boom.
Boom. That's
There
about
it
there it is.
That's it.
There it is.
I did not hop a train. I didn't go across the country. I didn't play in a punk rock band. But all things I wish I would have done. I wish I was a roadie for George Clinton. That's all I wish.
That would
He's
have been
still probably accepting applications.
I think
at
he's
this
on his
point.
farewell tour again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the 5th time.
6th time.
You just sell Panasonic stereos out of the back of your car. Want to be
Well,
clear.
I had samples. I had salesman samples. That a lot of times I left with accounts. But we had a great sounding
This
system.
dude
at house.
did sell out of the back of his trunk the first ever Teddy Ruxpin prototype.
No shit.
That's
I was
that's
I was-
a good
yeah.
story. Will you tell that story to kind of kick it off?
I was an independent rep. I just become a sales rep. We had Pomida. Remember Pomida?
yeah.
Which was a mini Walmart. And we had this guy call us and said, hey, we want to sell Pomida, this talking doll. We're like, a talking doll. They're like, yeah, it's a little bear and you put it in a tape and its mouth moves and we're going to have cartoons and it's going to be great. So they sent me this sample of this talking bear. I got little kids in the house. Everything's all great, right? Take the Teddy Ruxpin over to the account. He's like, man, my kid would like this. I'm like, keep it. You write a big enough order, we're good. You keep it. I get back, the owner of the company calls and goes, yeah, I'm gonna need you to send me that sample back. We're gonna go call on Walmart. Oh, well, I gave it to the buyer. He's like, that's a $250,000 prototype.
Wow.
It was the only one in existence. And so I had to go back and say, hey man, you can't give that to your kid. That one is,
Yeah.
that one's
Well, we
not
appreciate your
99,
business, though.
95. That is going to be a little bit more than that. But no, it was, I mean, think about
It was a hit.
it was a hit. And we were talking last night. I just was blessed to be in the electronics business, to be able to sell the first CDs, the first DVDs, the first flat plasma TV, HD TV, all that stuff. So it was a cool time. Really
Yeah.
cool time.
But you think about what has changed since you started selling, how the world has changed, right?
Wow.
Totally different.
If you were, let me just ask this as a first kind of frank level trivial question here. If you were to be a part of any era of time that made the change, what would it be? Would you live in this time? Would you see human flight? Would you go to the transportation of water in the Roman era? See the Colosseum? What would you guys do?
It's an interesting question.
It gets deep in here.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah, it gets deep.
I think for me, I would have wanted to be in and around the birth of hip hop, to see where
Very
it's
cool.
gone, and
Grandmaster Flash, all those guys.
and then Run DMC and Aerosmith and
Cool Hurt.
yeah, where we're at now, in 2022, it's mainstream.
It's a digital world now. Back then,
is.
it was all analog. Vinyl, and
Yeah.
the record store meant
Yeah.
something.
No
Yes.
one knew it was going to be what it is today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It wasn't
just
supposed
kids
to be
having
that.
a good time.
Yeah. It was
You know?
it was a risk. So yeah, for me, I would love to be there, in some integral role in the birth of hip hop.
Are you saying you want to be Rick Rubin?
Yeah, that'd
I
be
mean,
cool.
he brought Aerosmith and Run DMC
Yeah,
together,
Rick
right?
Rubin,
I mean,
right.
he's a super cool dude.
Yeah. Hippie.
Yeah,
yeah, he looks like some Harry Potter character.
yeah.
If you think back,
but super dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, this just in. Jay wants to be Rick Rubin.
but yeah, I mean,
We could
got
do a
the beard.
deep fake of that.
He
yeah.
has the beard going. All he has to do is grow his
More
hair out.
Or you got to have the horseshoe.
but I think wartime would kind of suck, but the beginning of, think about that phase where televisions and electric washer and dryer and all that stuff started to happen. I got to sell the first microwaves.
Wow.
I mean, to explain to somebody, you're going to put a hot dog in there, it's going to explode in a minute.
Right.
No one could, they just stared in that thing like they were seeing water for the first time.
That's so weird because he was installing a microwave and then grabbed a hot wire, and his finger did explode like a hot dog in the microwave.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No,
I
we've got all
encourage you to
sorts of
turn the power off in the future when working with
a
bare
lot of
wire.
blood in your finger.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. T-Neck,
of
where would you go? Where would you
Railroad.
fall into it?
I would like to see the railroad.
That's an Omaha boy right there.
Yeah,
Let's go.
Railroad, yeah.
Golden
UP,
Spike.
Yeah. Huge. I would love to have done that.
I'll tell you what, I just finished watching 1883, that series that leads up to Yellowstone.
Yeah.
The Wild West was
Wow.
wild.
Yeah.
And they did an incredible job. You got to watch just the cinematography. But man, there were some bad people in there. When these people would just come up and just shoot up an entire family in their wagon train and just shoot them all up and take all their shit and leave.
And it was okay.
That was it.
What are you gonna do?
It wasn't okay until they got caught.
You couldn't call
Then
anybody.
it was
Yeah, there's no calling anybody.
Yeah. They're on their horses.
Right.
Shit, if you went back to Seinfeld days, you couldn't just call people. Somebody came and shot you up in your wagon.
It's so funny because I was watching a Seinfeld episode today, and George was pissed because he couldn't get to the payphone. He had to call somebody, and people kept jumping in front of him on the payphone. That was the 90s.
Yeah.
That was the 90s. Yeah.
Beepers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They call it 911. You need to stop at the grocery store on your way home.
Imagine that.
Yeah, they were
how about
simpler
you?
times. It's a solid question. I think all things considered, seeing the way that it catapulted human ingenuity, maybe like the mid 1800s, when you're starting to talk Carnegie, start talking about the beginning of the industrial era, when you take these
Rockefeller. All
Yeah,
of that.
Rockefellers, like all of that, right? Because that really takes from the basically a brushed up Stone Age to today. Right. 150 years later, look where we're at. That's just 1850s.
It was back when original ideas were original ideas
right.
and not stolen.
Sure. That's right.
But today, everybody just steals everything else.
Right. And make it
But
better.
back then, you had people that are coming up with the idea of, something as simple as chewing gum.
And there was a lot of trial
just
and error.
crazy things
There was
like
a lot of trial and error.
And there was room.
create, yeah.
There was room
Yeah.
to have trial and error.
Yeah.
Now, in this day and age, you don't have much room to fail.
Talk about that. Talk about that. What do you mean by that?
I mean, so from my perspective, you put out a product and you believe in it, and maybe the masses or the consumer doesn't feel the same way that you do. That can be so damaging to your brand and what you do thereafter. And even in some instances, what you put out before, even if it was thought of as good, they now may think that it was a fluke.
Yeah, it's just not a good product.
Yeah.
So there is no room to really just
Post Swisher Liga? Is that what you're trying to say?
post Swisher Liga.
That's
Good old Garcia Vega.
yeah. It's interesting though.
That's true.
It's weird because I think there's probably more availability for innovation today, but the alley you have to run in is tighter. We have some planning in the works, and we came up with a concept. Beautiful. We came up with the concept. We weren't sneaking around looking at other people's idea.
Right.
You go. Not only is it already taken, but it's already trademarked.
Right.
So you almost have to create this whole innovation process, seeing what other people have already done, kill out what everyone else has done, and then find your niche in there.
Yeah.
So your proof of concept has to already be proven
Yes.
before you even take it to market.
Right.
You got to have a business plan, marketing plan. I mean, no mistakes, or you can be
and
dead
so-
before you even get started.
And so many, my consulting firm worked with people they had these great ideas, and they'd bring it in and go, I want to sell this to Walmart. And I'd explain, this is what you have to do to sell them. Or this is, whether it's Lowe's or whoever, these are all the ins and outs you have to sell them. Usually by the end of the second meeting, I was saying, it ain't going to work.
It ain't gonna work. Right?
Because what they do is they put their money in the wrong place.
That's right.
It's build a good product and invest into getting the word out.
Right.
And a lot of these guys, so many businesses start, and then they got $1.99 left to go spend on marketing,
That's right.
and they can't tell anybody.
They be closed within the 6 months.
And there's too many places to get your attention right now. As Brandon knows, he lives it every day. How do you get people's attention?
Yeah, and how do you do it now when the worlds we live in are highly censored? I mean, that was... So actually, Frank says he would like to, I mean, now is the time, seeing the growth of the internet in its infancy. I think we are living in a unique world, but I mean, kudos to Josh Sims for coming in with a trivial question too. I suppose it's a good kickoff. Who are you guys challenging to a duel? Duel to the death.
Yeah.
Old school style.
That's so easy.
Yeah.
So easy.
You can't say Betty White.
No, Stevie Wonder. I'd take his ass out.
That's a good point. Wouldn't see Kyle Woody.
Is that something he pull a gun and shoot straight up in the air? I could just take my time. I could just make sure I got the right bullet. I got the right laser pointer on him. I'm taking out Stevie.
duel.
Yeah, that's what it is now.
What did you think?
That was
What do you think
kind of
this was
old school.
I just thought it was a fight.
I'd still go after him.
Man,
I come around the back.
There's a
and that's
story out there that Stevie Wonder got upset with the drummer of his band, and his drummer was like, "Okay, let's do it." And people in the band thought that it would be only fair for the drummer to be blindfolded, put him in the darkness as well. And Stevie Wonder kicked his ass.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Are you serious?
I wouldn't.
Is that for real?
I wouldn't put on no blindfold.
No shit.
Nah, I ain't putting no.
No.
I won't get censored.
No. You can say basically everything.
Except
There are-
you
yeah.
take out to the curb on Sunday night.
That is the
Can't
one
say that.
thing. That is the thing that I think is scary at this time. It's like-
Yeah, you got to watch what you say.
That is like the self-censoring, right?
Right.
We don't know what we can and cannot say.
Right,
That
right.
was, as we all grew up, this is an era where I think we have to fight for that now, or otherwise my kids are going to grow up in an area where they self-censor. And I saw that when I was in Nicaragua. We were eating at a little place. And I asked about the government with one of our guides down there, and he got real quiet. And he started talking. I was like, what are you doing? It's like, there could be somebody on the street listening to me right now, and that's going to be the end of my family. Like, that happens now in Nicaragua now.
Wow.
Like, that, we got to pay attention to what's happening. That is probably, aside from a potential of what could happen just in our world right now, that scares me.
It's big time.
That scares me. Like, this self-censoring. We're, for adults here, we mean no harm with our words.
Right. We were always taught freedom of speech. And now you have to watch what you say. It's like,
Not
is it
so
freedom
free.
of speech anymore?
Well, what they do is they get you hooked on the venue, and then you got to play by the venue's rules, and they censor the venue. See, if we didn't give a shit about social media, then we wouldn't care what we said.
Right.
But nobody wants to get thrown out of the special club.
I think it's the advertisers, because if you're advertising with said social media platform, right, and you're spending $gazillion and someone says something that's out of context, then guess what?
Sure.
We'll stop doing business with it.
You're attached to that, or that's the feeling.
You know,
Yeah.
that's
Which we all,
capitalism, I should say.
yeah, watch this. If this drops and if this stream goes, just know it wasn't the tech. So just as we're having this conversation, just know we're gonna say it the way it is. But I think that is a scary part, as we live in this world that, yes, it's a private company, right? The exact platform we're on, but it's a beautiful way to just push over the biggest platform where people exercise their First Amendment right. And then if the government would just wants to use that, not to put a tinfoil hat on, but it's a pretty good little shield they've got there to be able to regulate. And to me, that's really scary, that I believe, and I would love to hear what you guys believe about this. Like, do you think these massive tech platforms should be and remain as private companies that can do their own thing, or should they be treated the same way that the public square is treated, where, yeah, you can't run in and scream fire at a theater, but should people have those First Amendment rights on these?
I believe they should be able to say whatever they want. You look at, I'm not a Kanye West fan, but you look at what has happened in the last week with censoring him. I mean, kicking him off platforms, canceling his concerts or his ability to feed his family,
His bank account.
his bank account. I mean, Chase got rid of him. I mean, that is censorship, right?
Yeah.
It is.
And if it can happen to a guy that's a billionaire, it can happen to those of us that are doing our 9 to 5.
Who are we? We've got no voice. Right. Like, all it's got to
That's
take is
right.
they
We
just
wouldn't even
bump it
know.
down.
Yeah.
That's all. Here's what's weird is it must be listening because it's letting more people into the stream right now. So those of you who are joining us, it's our Tuesday
you.
get together. This is Cigar Talk Live. We operate off your comments, so please drop them in and steer this conversation. But Jay, what do you think on that?
Go ahead.
Yeah, please.
I mean,
I'm curious.
so traveling a little bit has given me perspective. I think our society, us as Americans, we have a different view of things and how we go about our communication, right? So for some of us, the stick in the carrot is to get censored. Like, we will push that line. That is our goal.
That's the viral zone.
That's the viral zone.
Good point.
Whereas in other cultures, it's,
You can lose your life.
you can.
Yeah.
So there's a certain approach or a certain way of being about how you go about doing things. Whereas with us, land of the free, home of the brave, right? But we, as Americans, always want to toe that line. Right. And then when we do get censored or reprimanded in some way, it's like a gold star. Whereas behaving in a certain way and understanding that is missed sometimes.
We got Tim Flores coming in. Literally smoked a definition cigar at Stogie's
Wow.
and Style in Hot Springs, Arkansas, about an hour ago.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
much.
What up, Tim Flores?
I want to make just this comment on a different point of view as it relates to social media. As I mentioned, my day job is in the oil business. So in order for an oil company to be successful, they have to go drill wells, right? They're drilling wells in order to pull this content out of the ground. And it costs them anywhere from $7 to $14 million to drill one well, right? But so there's a cost to get what they want. Social media wants one thing. They want this endless stream of data. And they get it for free, unregulated. And they get to take it, they get to sell it, they get to use it however they want. Imagine what would happen if all you had to do was go out, drill a well, and you could pull all the oil out of the owner's land and he didn't get anything for it.
Yeah.
All hell would break loose. But these guys get their inventory for free, and then they leverage the shit out of it. They use it to market, to solicit, to do all that stuff. I'll tell you, if you ever want to put a governor on social media, is you tax them on the data that they're getting. Because right now they can bring in 900 different pieces of data, no matter what it is. But you say, oh, you want to know gender and age and race? That's going to cost you a tax. I bet you they'll go, do we really need that?
Yeah.
Right.
I think if they ever tap the brakes, first of all, it'd be a huge revenue stream for the government, but they won't do that because it's too much money to the government or to the people that are in it.
Yeah.
But I think that there is imagine getting all your tobacco for free, all of it for free. Have them roll it for free. Everything that you need to do what you do with Definition Cigars is free.
Profit margins shoot through the roof.
Through the roof. These guys are making billions off of us going, I'm from Omaha and I went to Omaha Burke and I went this and I did that. And I'm going, I got you figured out. So the next time somebody comes up with a product that might fit my demographic, I'm going to see that ad.
Oh, it's scary too, because
I'm gonna put it in front of you.
yeah, it's really scary because on Facebook, if I had a teal 20-ounce tumbler, I could find the 18 people who searched for teal 20-ounce tumbler, and I could just market to them. It is terrifying how much data people.
Brandon, me and you had a conversation about, I asked you for help with a project. I had done a search for that project in talking to you, and B, I happened to be reposting an ad. I had done one search. Mind you now, I had done it from my laptop, not from my mobile device. I'm still logged in from my laptop and from my mobile device. And I was reposting a photo, and an ad for what I had looked up came right in front of me,
Isn't that crazy?
down to the specific project that we had talked about.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
So
Because they're tracking your keys.
And the other thing is Siri is grabbing your data. I actually sat in my office, nobody's in there, and I said out loud, I think I want to buy a Volvo. Within 1 hour, I was getting Volvo ads on my Facebook feed.
Wow.
Just saying it.
Wow.
Siri is picking up all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And that's a data capture.
Yeah.
So for those of you who are watching, you are all going to be sold Volvos tomorrow.
So right now I'm a substitute teacher in Frisco. And so it's completely different when we're going to school, right? The kids are in the hallways with their hats on.
Hats in school?
Hats in school. Wow.
They can wear hats in school?
In school, backwards, forward, sideways, however, hoodies, right? In class, they're eating in class, they're drinking in class. Yeah, they have on the agenda when they have snack time. They're not sitting at desks. They're sitting on the floor.
What?
Yeah, I'm serious. They're sitting on the ledge looking out the window. They have laptops. They have their headphones on, and while they're working, they're listening to music. And they have no homework. And I'm like,
Sounds like a great school.
I'm like,
Damn, I
all the
would
things we
succeed
would
at
get
that school.
all the things we would get in trouble for.
Oh, yeah.
Now
Chewing
it's-
gum.
Chewing gum. Chewing gum.
Yes.
Yep.
It's the norm now. Right?
Now, do you think that's for the better or for the worse?
I'm conflicted. I'm sitting, I'm looking, and I'm watching. And me and another teacher was having this conversation. I think they have become a little more lazy. because the interaction has lessened between teacher and student, right? Not to mention, I see that remember the kids that were a little slower at learning, they were in a different section of now they're integrated. So now you have the kids who are learning fast, and then the teachers spend a lot more time with the kid that's a little slower. Not to mention all the behaviors
Sure.
that goes along with it. And I'm sitting there like, what is this?
See, Nick, I'm with you. I'm conflicted because growing up, there was either you were in the class or you was in the LD.
Right.
You know, you went to the lunchroom before everybody else.
Right.
I think now the school systems are more intentional around, identifying people who don't learn the same and that sort of thing, and make sure that they're able to function in society still and get the same education. But while what is considered, air quotes, a normal kid, we've created an environment where now we can be lazy or they can be lazy.
That's right.
And not perform in the same way. And it's acceptable.
It's interesting because Nathan, my younger brother, was in special classes. So I empathize with someone who grows up in special classes and what that does and what the negative effects are. However, I could see that for the top performers in the class, but you would think a good solution to that would be a ton of teamwork. A lot of, here's your task, go get it together as a team, because that's how it works in the real world. You're only, like as we always said in football, you're only as good as your worst player.
That's right.
Right. So how does that team come together? I would think that'd be a good solution to it. Now, is that imparted or?
But I think that we've gotten to a society or to a place where we're kind of coddling, right? And we don't want to leave anyone behind. Everyone gets a trophy.
Sure.
Right? Everyone gets to play, right? Versus the guys who have the skill or the ones who are working hard. Those are the cream rises to the top. Where now because you want everyone to feel included. I even referee basketball, by the way. So, everyone gets an opportunity to play. When I was coming up, if you weren't good enough, you didn't play. You sat on the bench. But the incentive was that you worked a little harder during the off season, whether it was baseball, football, or basketball. And I think that it kind of, the guys that are excelling, it kind of shortens their, opportunity to really excel, because now you got to share the opportunity with the folks who aren't as skilled and who is not working as hard.
I just wonder what the culture shock is when they get a real job.
Well, we see it, but we see that. The real culture shock is everyone else pays the price.
Right.
Because you take a 22-year-old who's been coddled their whole life that thinks that they should be paid and treated like a CEO because they've been treated like a CEO their whole life. So then they get into these corporations, they think that they need to control everything. You need to talk about what value you add.
Exactly.
You are only worth the value you put in. Right?
Well, now you don't remember you used to have to go above and beyond. Now I'm only doing this part of the job.
You just got to get by.
I just got to get by.
And I'm not doing anything else. Now, here's the flip side. The other side is that I'm seeing fourth graders putting presentations together in PowerPoint. And I'm like,
they're excelling.
They're excelling like, the technology is their advantage. They're really navigating, with the laptop and computers and everything, like something I've never seen before.
I still think that this human interaction.
Yes.
There are people that stare at screens all day and can't carry on a conversation with a human.
Right.
And I've had people in my oil company that are like, hey, I got to talk to you about John. He hasn't returned my emails now for 4 days. He's in the office next to you. Go talk to him. I don't want to hear about that.
Right.
So I think that is I think.
Is that the gift and the curse from technology?
I think it is. I think I watch people that will read a PowerPoint to me. just use it as a crutch to hold you up.
Right.
Don't use it as, I know how to read. You could have just emailed it to me.
Right.
What do you think?
Right.
Use that as your reference point to go back to and go, oh, I want to make sure I cover this. More of an agenda than, let's all read this together.
Right. Right.
So I there's still nothing that takes away. I mean, this is what it is. Imagine if we didn't have this, where people are having human interaction.
Right.
And I think we're breeding a culture of the communication can only happen here.
Right.
Yeah, I think.
I'm sorry.
No, please.
I was just gonna say, imagine smoking a cigar and not having the ability to come to the lounge and
Right.
sit next to someone. And be
Right.
like, "Man, what did you think?" You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
imagine,
that's
imagine
the
doing that virtually.
Well, that's the whole
No,
purpose of coming here is to have that interaction, just having conversation.
Well, and you grow so much by falling on your face, right? So fall on your face in communication. Say that you might not. Maybe that was the wrong thing to say. I did it today, by the way. I stuck my foot way in my mouth today. Yeah, apologize. Yeah, but regardless, that's the point, and I think that's the beauty with the competition in sports and team sports in the level of athletics. I think that teaches you how to lose. I think that teaches you how to work as a team.
Man.
I think if you look at
100%.
the coddling of maybe the students, but then on the flip side, the unbelievable evolution that sports has taken,
Yes,
where you
yeah.
have those same
Yes,
fourth graders
yes,
who
yes.
can read a presentation. They probably have good enough parents that
Yes.
remember the way to raise a kid
Yes.
that has them dedicated to sport,
Yes.
dealing
Yeah.
with conditioning, understanding life. And I think maybe we're a generation out of seeing an incredible, I think, separation of wealth of those people who really get it and those kids who kind of got it.
I think that they're so depending on who you subscribe to be the leader in literature around leadership development and that sort of thing, right? Empathy is always a thing that I don't care who you talk about is a part of an effective leader. I think what sports teaches a child, an adolescent, is having an appropriate amount of empathy throughout their life. I know it taught me that. What we have in some of these schools now is that because it's seen as a core function of effective leadership, having empathy, that there can be too much empathy.
Yes.
And will make
Yes.
you an ineffective leader.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
and you're forcing empathy,
Yes.
Yes.
right?
You're
If everyone
thinking in that way.
turns into
It's-
resentment.
Boom. That's where I'm going.
Yep.
Right.
So you see a lot of that, especially in smaller kids, and especially with sports now, we become too empathetic to that
Soft.
child who is
Soft.
maybe not as good, or that team's not as good. We still are going to allow them to feel the same way that team who really is first place.
Right.
You have to feel what it feels like to lose.
You do,
and
Pop.
you got to
That's part
learn
of
to
life.
hate it.
It's part of life.
You just got to learn to hate it.
Appreciate it,
Right.
Josh.
I think that if a loss and a win feels almost the same,
Oh, there's something wrong.
There's something wrong.
Right.
Thanks, fellas. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Get ready. We're going fan cam. Put them hands up. What's up? What's up? You got Wayne's nuts out here in the front row here.
Moose knuckle.
You saw it now.
Moose knuckle.
I wouldn't know if he wouldn't have said anything, Wayne.
No, this is to Josh's point. Yeah, way deep, but it's interesting because if the train's off the tracks, how do we put it on?
I think it starts with the parents.
I think it starts and ends with the parents, right?
Right.
And that's where I have a ton of optimism, to be honest, because I think there may have been a time, maybe this generation who's raising kids who are now in high school, middle school age,
Right.
but kids that grew up my age still had, I don't know if you're
1000%.
technically a baby boomer or what generation, but that structure.
Yeah, we were raised in that way.
We were raised in that way.
it. There-
Yeah.
There's that middle ground that is living.
They're not
that.
they're not as many like flower children.
Right.
the flower power generation
Right.
had kids who are now in that
Yeah.
high school age. Now, there are definitely good parents out there, but I think more coming back to the way we grew up. And of course, I
1000%.
only live in the world I live in, so I don't
right,
know.
exactly.
Maybe you guys see it different.
But I think old school parents put up with a lot less.
Yeah.
Our parents put up with less. Their parents put up with a lot
Way
less.
less, right.
Their parents were go out and feed the chickens.
But that was
You know,
structure.
that was it.
That was
That was
structure.
it.
Structure.
And you knew it when
In
you walked
tough
out the
times.
door because
Learn in
everyone
tough
was
times.
in line with what the expectation was.
Yep.
Right.
Respect, right? You respect your elders.
Respect.
It was certain things you just didn't say when the elder was around, and certain
Right.
things you wouldn't do,
Right.
right?
Yes.
Because someone's gonna call and tell mom and dad.
Oh,
Someone else's
that's-
parent, someone
yes.
else's parent could be your parent for
That's
that time
right.
For that
and
time.
reprimand you.
right, and correct.
Yeah, and that's, I think, a testament of a strong community. Mm-hmm. If you trust the people you're around,
Right.
and that's if you surround yourself with those people, or if you surround yourself with people who you wouldn't trust to reprimand your kid, you're hanging around the wrong people.
That's right.
You're part of the
Sure.
problem.
That's
You're
right.
proud of-
You've got to be around the people that you go, okay, if they yell at my kid, I'm not going to yell at the parent.
Right.
It's because they know.
Right.
They know.
And they had the best interest of my child at hand.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
I mean, if Brandon and Andrew and Nathan would have came home and said, Joel next door just yelled at me, my response wouldn't have been go talk to Joel. It would have been, what the hell did you
What'd
guys
you do?
do?
That's right.
Yep. What'd you do?
And now,
What'd you
today they go over and start yelling at the parent. Right. Who do you think you are yelling at my kids?
Right.
Yeah.
And I've got to sit, maybe as teachers, I know there was a period there where instead of electing to understand where the kid messed up, they immediately go with the teacher. How did the teacher mess this up?
Right. Right.
What did they do wrong?
Right. Right. It was a teacher that she was talking about it today. A kid didn't have his project in on time, and he told his mom that it was due on a day that it wasn't, and because he didn't hand it in, she was going to dock him 50%, and so the teacher and the parent had a falling out because the mother chose to believe the kid instead of having the conversation with the teacher to find out exactly what the expectation was. First of all, why was the assignment late? From the get-go.
Right.
Right.
Why were you lying to me?
Right. Right. But she took the child's, word, and they had a big falling out behind it. And the child was in the wrong.
I think Wayne brings up a great point, which is your role as a parent is to instill
Right.
personal responsibility, discipline, respect, and love, and whatever is your family.
Right.
But that personal responsibility key, I think, is something so big because you can only control what you can control. And if you take responsibilities of your failures and your wins, I think we're in a good place as a society.
I remember the twins were in kindergarten. Teachers called me in. I go in and they said, Andrew is slightly behind and Nathan is quite a bit behind everybody else. Some of the kids can identify all the letters in the alphabet. Nathan can identify 7. I said, are they respectful to you in class? Oh yeah, they're the greatest kids we got. They help out. They do. We'll teach them how to add and read. Right. Don't worry about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are they respectful?
Yeah,
that was my only concern.
Right.
Because
Yeah,
they're little
totally agree.
shits.
Right.
Well, then it's a whole other thing.
Right.
Yeah.
But I just want to make sure they were being respectful to the teachers.
And to-
We can always teach them to
And
read.
to that point, that's a lot of what's going on. Not every school, but there's a lot of correcting behavior. I'm talking about rolling around on the floor, crying, just disruptive behavior that you just didn't do. You were put out.
Yep.
Well, T. Nick, in fairness to the kids, you don't know what you don't know. It's like, so to Pop's point, he knew that his kids, when they went to school, man, it's an organic, or it's foundational that you operate with some level of respect
That's right.
to an authority figure.
But here's the thing. Is identifying what success to you as a parent is so important because we understood when we went to school that the most important thing was reflect the Frakes name. Reflect that in respectful. That's something I'm passing on to my kids. It's like, what does it mean to be a Frakes? You tell me what that is.
That's right.
That's most important is reflect that success. But Josh put in a good point, which is you have these parents who are sticking up for their kids because it's so much of a reflection of who their kids are,
Right.
because they give a shit about 100% of what their grades or their star testing or whatever these quantitative
Yep.
levels of success may be measured as, but it's not even important because if they're not valuable members of the community, maybe just we need to calibrate what is successful in our community.
Right.
And to us, it was
Or what kind of community do we want?
Boom.
But who thought about that yet? It seems like they're just kind of letting everybody roam.
It's a free-for-all.
And we'll get to where we're going to get what we get if there's no vision or no direction.
That's right.
You're
Well-
going to get what you get.
what I think is we're in a ratcheting of society. And I think when I say that, when you take, you load up your dirt bike and you ratchet the straps
Right.
down, it goes a little bit too far, but then it settles back down. And I think the ratcheting right now we're seeing maybe just a half a step. It's too far in some things. Maybe we're focusing too much on talking about the differences and talking about what black and white means and talking about those things. Whereas I think it will come back down to really what is it matter? What matters? Where is the bite point of that?
Right.
And so in my opinion, my optimistic view on it is we're just too far, but it's going to come back down. We've got to fight for that it doesn't keep ratcheting, but
I hope so. It's funny we're having this conversation. My daughter, my grandson, he this past weekend was picking letters up and throwing them, and I had a moment with her where I said, "Okay, he's one, just turned one. The intention of those letters are not to be thrown.
That's
it's not.
right.
I said, give him a ball if he wants to throw it.
Right.
So it's a small thing, Pops, B and T Nick, but what you do is in that small
Behavior,
alignment
yeah.
or behavior is that you're setting a tone of that this ball is to be thrown.
That's right.
These letters are not to be thrown.
That's right. That's
and that
right.
is a foundational
That's right.
thing that you start at that age.
That's right.
To not allow that.
That's
So yes,
right.
he wants to throw everything. I get
That's
it.
structure.
I get it. But you form a foundational approach with him to say the ball is to be thrown,
Not the letters.
not the letters. And I was telling my mom this. It's so much bigger, and then they thought I was crazy because I'm thinking 2 or 3 different steps down the road. So if he thinks that these letters
Right.
are able to be thrown, hey,
What about the knives?
what about the knives?
What about
or,
the pans?
or T Nick, when he gets older, what about the water that's sitting outside of the store that's just there? Oh yeah, you're supposed to go in and pay for that,
Right.
But it's right here.
do you remember that? You remember that? I got caught stealing. When I was a kid, I was probably Alessia's age. I was probably 6 years old. I stole it. I didn't know what the concept was, but I remember it was that. You remember the gum tape? That it's like a little measuring tape,
yeah.
gum, whatever it was. I took it. We got into your Ford Taurus, and
Good old Ford. Toy.
yeah, the company car, Ford Taurus that we used as a trampoline once.
Yep.
And we learned that lesson. And then, so what is that? Well, it's gum. I got it. I think we had already driven away.
Yep.
And you turned around and then made me go back inside and apologize and give it back. All right, that was 30 years ago. I still remember that lesson. It was like, oh, you can't just grab it.
Right.
Oh, okay. You have to. That's something that I'm curious for those who are watching, for those who are here. What are some things that your parents did that you'll never forget? What are some lessons that you were taught that you're glad they did, aside from whipping you with a belt? But the belt was a good tool. It was a
Hey,
good
Jackie,
tool.
It's part of that structure.
we're semi same era. Did they paddle you in grade school? We had
Jackie got
had
paddled.
paddles.
Yeah.
And if you were disrespectful or you did anything wrong, said anything wrong, acted up to the teacher,
You
out in the
got to
hallway, kabam.
That's right.
Damn.
That shit gets
Damn.
you on the path.
It happened
straight
in
and
high
down
school.
quick.
We had the legendary.
My dad was a coach and a teacher. He used to bring the board home.
So Josh Sims' dad was a coach and a teacher, and he used to bring the class paddle home.
Yeah.
Meat
was-
cleaver.
It was even in high school. Our principal gave you the option. We call mom or dad, or you get 3 paddles.
No kidding.
And this is high school.
What school?
North High.
North.
Oh, that's Omaha North. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mr. Gene Haynes. And guys always elected to take the paddle. But
Because, yeah, but that's strong
Because you were going to
parent.
get it worse when you got home.
Yep. Right. What's something your parents did that you're glad they did? Yeah.
Oh, no, I was like, me, in respect, I have really soft parents.
It's soft parents.
Oh, yeah.
No, not at all. No. What's something that they did that
And
you're glad that they did?
he's robbed 3 banks. So
There's a lot of teardrops on your face. The Marines.
yeah,
But, like,
they have a paddle.
it all does is traumatize them. That's just me. Maybe it makes kids a little.
didn't traumatize me.
Me either.
We're still walking, Jackie, are we?
Yeah, is there? No, that's okay. I mean,
She
it's
started it.
you took a different path, and I think that's super valuable. It's like if you look at if your parents were soft, I never got hit. I never once got hit. Not once in my life by my father. I always thought he'd kill me, but I never got hit. The closest I did is I told him "fuck you," and you grabbed me from the stairs and made my shoulders touch my ears, sat me down, and washed my mouth out.
Yep.
It's like that. That's as physical we ever got.
You
So
didn't always
I'm with
put
you.
the fear in him to think that you're going to kill him.
Yeah, but
Right.
that worked for me too. My parents didn't hit me. So is there something that they did that was different than old school?
Every kid's got a currency. And that's what they call it. So, like,
Every kid's got a currency.
Take that shit away.
Yeah, sure.
And, like going to the gym. I like going to the gym. So they wouldn't let me use the car to go to the gym. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that works.
Every kid has a currency. I like that.
I like that. Every
That's
kid has
really
a currency.
solid.
Yep.
Yeah, and then you went to the Marines and got that physicality, and yeah,
Straighten
thank
them
you for your
out.
service.
Yeah.
Thank you. Hey, B, I think also too, man. There's I know growing up for me, you made mention of your family name, the Frakes, what it means to Frakes. I think in this society that we live in, that everybody is trying to develop their own brand and develop their own person, who they are, and how they fit into their little clique. But my family, I grew up old school, and it was so much about our family name.
Right.
And so whenever I did something, whether it was positive or negative, I remember thinking, man,
How's that going to affect the family?
how's that going to affect the family? Like I remember and being in high school and would come home after basketball games and drop my bag off to go out to a party or whatever. And my grandfather would be sitting there smoking a cigar in front of the local television station that was broadcasting the games. And he was so excited that he was able to hear his last name be called so much.
Yeah.
And he would say that, he said, man, they was calling your name tonight. They was calling your name tonight. And
that gives you pride.
it gave me pride, but Pops, it was foundational before that. I knew what to expect.
What the expectation was.
So my point is that family commitment to saying that, hey, I want to be a good representative
That's right.
of
That's
my
right.
name, as opposed to being, I'm doing me.
Right.
You know what it is though? You know, and I saw Junior. We could
I love
we
that.
could put that in there, but you know what I think it was? Parents weren't on their phone. They could communicate with their kids and explain the expectations.
Good point.
So maybe that's what it. Maybe a lot of the softness is we don't know what to do with this technology yet. So the parents who were the first ones through, they don't understand the negativity of setting their kid at dinner and everyone has their own iPad,
Right.
and then they go to dinner and no one says a word to each other. That's a good
I see
time at
these
dinner.
parents that are using iPads as babysitters.
They're,
at the dinner
they're
time.
pacifiers.
Yeah,
Right.
They're digital pacifiers, and that fucks the whole family up.
Yeah.
I remember I was in undergrad, and one of my instructors or professors, this is back when they were just putting TVs in minivans, and he told his wife, they were on vacation. She just turned the TV on so their kid can watch TV. And he's like, no way are we driving on a road trip and allow our child to watch this TV because we need to interact.
Yep.
And he said we went on that road trip and would not turn the deal on the whole time.
Man, T-Nick.
Yep.
My grandfather had a Toyota SR5 and put a camper on it. And we would drive 3 hours to go visit other families. And it'd be me and 2 other cousins. And we would sit in the back of that truck inside of the camper
With some fried chicken because you didn't stop.
Right, yeah. It was some snacks back there. But you're riding 3 hours and you're just
Looking.
together.
It's together.
Man, right now the bonds that I have with those family members, we talk about those trips right now with Grandpa. I mean, and it's long lasting, right? So at that age, we didn't know what it was doing for us,
Right.
and making sure that we stay connected.
Right.
But as adults,
Yeah, if you would have
had
all
this
just been sitting
relationship.
there showing each other your phone. Look at this picture. Look at
Yeah.
That's
Enough.
interaction today.
We just celebrated our 105th year, our family. We have one of the oldest families in the United States. We broke the Guinness Book of World Records, right? So just think 105 years ago, our family started getting together. It's about 2,000 to 3,000 of us show up in Omaha from all over the country.
I'm kin to some niggas too.
Yeah, right? Yeah. And so, and you just think that's how they came together. Rain or shine, we come together.
That's very cool.
At the park, barbecue, and it's families, tents all over. And you just think about it. They made a conscious effort for 105 years to come together and to celebrate. There was no phones.
No,
There
Yeah.
wasn't.
You think about that.
You just knew the date, knew the time, and you showed up.
Yep.
Now
And it was back then. It was a journey to get there.
Yeah. Now you
Yeah.
see these 90, 95-year-old, aunts and uncles there, and they're telling you these old stories they had. Yeah, it's a huge thing.
That's super
See, Nick,
cool.
here's what gives me hope, though. While that group of people were so intentional around the family, we were segregated from everyone else because of the times, right?
Right.
But I look at a family like the Frakes and how you guys have been to me, right? There is only a couple different reasons or scenarios where there's that alignment where we are able to meet, and I think it's approach from my side, and that comes from how I was raised and who you guys are as a family foundationally. Like you always say it, Pop, we don't do business with companies, we do business with people.
Right.
So relative to that, there has to be some type of synergy there, and saying, man, this person has some of the same foundational
That's right.
ways about them that I naturally attract to. My point is that as long as we are doing that, no matter if it's family or even in just operating with just people, different colors of people, I think we're always going to
Come back to the root.
I think so. That is
we'll
my
learn
hope.
because
That is my hope.
at the end of the day, I mean, look, the pendulum is swinging culturally, right? It's swinging. But if we just look at the baseline of don't judge someone by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character,
Yep, right.
right? That's a very simple concept.
Right.
Is that person a 1 or a 0? Will they add value? Is their character positive or is their character negative?
Right,
There's some nuance to that, but you have to really understand, what are they in there for? And if your first line of question is, what do they look like? Where are they from? It doesn't matter because you're already flawed on a terrible foundation.
And I think that's our charge, our generation, me, you, and Brandon's charge. I think that's our charge to take it to the next step. and being in that way. You know
And
what I
that's
mean?
where I think it's going too far right now. I think there's a light shined on things that is maybe distracting, where it highlights too much what is visible and hides too much what is important, which is someone's character.
That's-
I always
great
say
way to put
this. What kind of world do you want your children? I have a 4.5-year-old and I have grandchildren as well. Yeah. No. What kind
whiskey
of
will
what
destroy
kind
them.
of world do I want my children to grow up in? You know what I mean? Do I want them in a world where you have, white against black and this and that? No. Because the truth be told, we're so integrated now that we would implode,
Yeah.
self-destruct.
Yeah.
It's not segregated as it was, when my parents and grandparents were growing up. We're all living in the same neighborhoods.
I grew up when segregation started. I was in 7th grade. My brother was in 6th grade. We lived out 120th and Pacific. He got bused a horse man.
Wow.
So every morning,
The other direction.
he went the other direction. But I actually grew up on 49th in Miami. So I grew up in North Omaha. So
That was the suburbs by then.
but it was for me.
That's an old joke for anyone who's small.
where I grew up. It was I was the only white kid in the neighborhood, and 65th and Ames. That whole area is where I grew up.
Okay.
My uncle went to North, so I think that for me it was I never saw that. I just saw what I saw was interesting is I always wondered why all my friends' families would always come to the house on Sunday. Our family didn't do that. And I think that was I didn't realize that was the culture.
That was the culture.
Was that family get together every weekend? We're gonna have a big dinner, and I've been to those dinners, and I ate food that I never had seen before. But it was collard greens, things like that. I didn't know. I thought we were eating the shit that they mowed out of the yard. I didn't know. But to see that how that family unit comes together, like you're talking about, your family has come together for all those years. That was one thing that was kind of lost on us. We just don't do it. Now my wife tries to facilitate that.
Right.
So
Yeah,
it's,
you do
got
a
to
good-
want to do it now.
Yes.
It was you had to do it then, right?
Right.
Yeah, and I think you chose a different path. You effectively are a mom, someone who raised us the majority of our life. She escaped a Muslim family. She moved to Omaha, Nebraska with a black eye because she had to escape an arranged marriage. She had to escape her family, and on the way out the door, her brother dotted her in the eye. So she showed up with a black eye. There's a lot to learn there, right? You understand the culture. Married to a Mexican now, and hopefully forever. But you get to see those different cultures.
Right.
We celebrate the differences, celebrate what is.
Right.
Like that Sunday for Ale is always. And that's when I was in Mexico this last time. I sent a message on a Sunday without question. Sunday, the family's together. They could just sit in a room in silence, but the family's together.
That's awesome.
I think that's so valuable.
Right.
Man, we're so tied up. We're so busy. We're so fill in the blank of the excuse. We're not connected unless you put in the effort.
So do you think our family structure now is affecting our business structure, the company structure? Are we bringing those family values or lack thereof to the corporate arena? And
Well,
is
hell,
that
nowadays there's. I
don't think you can.
You probably have 13 HR violations. If you do that shit.
I don't think you can.
But I'm saying when I
corporate
yeah,
America's
will
got
you
this all.
expand on that a little bit, Tina?
meaning that the way we, deal with our families or lack thereof, do we bring that to the corporate structure
I think we do.
and how we manage corporations?
I think it's
Because there used to be a time, not to cut you off,
yeah.
that the companies were reflective of families. They were really, you had guys who worked at corporations 30, 40, 50 years. Now you go on LinkedIn, you see a guy who's been at this company for a year,
yeah.
6 months.
They take
And that
pride
was-
in the climbing the
that
ladder.
was
faster.
almost, you're a job hopper. You were.
Yeah. I'm not hiring you.
Yeah, it was a black cloud over you because you
It's
didn't
geography
stand
too,
up.
though, T. Nick. I have a personal experience. So I'm an East Coast guy. I moved from the East Coast to Texas.
Wow. Oh, shock.
So there's a you're straightforward and communicate and how you communicate in that part of the country. And I get here and I'm in a leadership role and I have to go through HR training because my way of communicating wasn't Texas.
It wasn't that soft.
It wasn't Texas, and here in Texas, and I love it. I mean, somebody holds the door open for you when you come into a department store or somewhere. Man, the East Coast, man, I'm coming out of the door, man. You catch it on the way back, and that's
Catch
okay.
it or not.
And nobody feels any type of way about it. It was. I think relative to corporate, I think there's a level of geography that plays a part
good point.
there too.
Yeah, that's Josh. Can you hear us? Okay. You need us to bring it up a little bit. Yeah, they're cooler than we are. Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, Busy Bee, where you at? He brought the speaker and everything. No, it's interesting. You definitely, and I think that's why Frisco is a unique place.
Yeah.
Frisco, Dallas, I mean,
Melting pot.
you know what?
I love it here.
I don't know. Other than Josh Sims, I don't know if anyone's actually from here.
Right.
Have you even met anyone from here? Are you from? Holy shit! We got the 3 original pioneers of Dallas here. You went to Wakeland. You're born and raised.
Wakeland,
What year were you born?
Oh, yeah.
Ah, so you weren't born here. Yeah, but there's a caveat. No, that's good though.
So one of the
Plano, it's close.
One
Yeah,
of the things, one of the things I do in my class is I'll ask each one of the students where they're from, and they're from all over,
Oh yeah,
all over the world.
yeah. Oh, my housing development's like the United Nations.
Yeah,
where they
seriously.
it is.
Yeah, seriously.
It is.
It's incredible.
Everything.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Everybody.
That's why I feel so blessed and also empathetic with the people who don't live in the world that we live in right now, because we have one, a cigar lounge, 2 in Frisco, Texas.
Right.
All of the narrative that's occurring outside of these 4 walls,
affect-
we don't see it.
don't
It doesn't
affect
affect
us.
us. I mean,
Yeah,
it doesn't
doesn't affect
matter.
us.
You know,
Right.
it's
I think it's a bigger charge for us, though. There's a level of responsibility that I feel that I have from where I'm from, and having to be blessed to just have the opportunity that I do. I take it as a responsibility to do my part, and I think that's where it starts. The individual. You cannot affect change if you're looking at outside of yourself. If you're saying, oh, we need to do X, Y, and Z. Well, hold on. Let's start with step 1. Let's not graduate to step 10. Let's start at step 1 and it starts with you.
That's right.
I'll tell you what, the world is full of people that have really, what we need to do, but they don't do it. That's the biggest frustration. If somebody says, what we need to do, and they have a good idea, stop.
Man,
Let's
Pops.
put the plan together and let's do it. That's
Right,
a great idea.
execution.
That's the only way. Everybody can just go, oh, see, you know what you're doing. You know what you need to do. Just then do it.
Pops, that's my story. Sitting around a cigar lounge and saying, you know what? And
I can make a better cigar.
or we can make a cigar that few people like.
Yeah, just for those of you who are tuning in, Jamond is the owner, one of the owners of Definition Cigars, based out of here in Carrollton. Do they're rolling in Nicaragua. We're all smoking them. I'm smoking the chairman.
Nice.
That thing is killer, right?
Yeah.
It's great cigar.
That's the goods, right? The white. You're smoking Cold Summer. It's a beautiful story. It's a great set of blends. If you haven't smoked Definition Cigars, make sure you do, because not only are you teaming up with a local company, if you're here buying from Industrial Cigar Company, but they're good people. They care about the details, and there's passion. There's passion there, and you can't manufacture that. You cannot fake
You
passion.
can't duplicate that.
No, and it's look. Is it the greatest cigar in the world? I don't know,
No, it's not.
But it's relative.
tell you what,
but it's all relative. You're exactly right.
I smoke so many, and it's like,
But that it's not even important. It's like you can tell that when you're going through the blending process, you're caring about the details. And the evolution of that company and the evolution of your blending and the evolution of everything is nothing but up and to the right.
I mean, you guys have seen. I'm sorry.
Go
Timmy.
ahead.
I'm
No,
sorry,
go
I'm
right
sorry.
ahead.
I was just gonna say, Brandon and Pops has seen it. You guys have talked about your process of choosing what goes into that special room that is
Nice genre.
in front of me. But you guys have seen that almost 3 years ago now. That sit down we had to where,
Is that 3 years ago? Almost, huh?
Yep.
Well, it goes back to 2018 when I saw you at the trade show and you said I'd love to be in, but we're not ready.
Yeah, I
humble.
wasn't ready, man. I still and we'll move on. I still am giddy about walking in there.
Yeah, well, Wayne Ferguson says, I don't know any other cigar company that hand delivers product to the shop.
No, doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. We had somebody, it was her first time in, Jake. He's in here, first time, been smoking cigars for 2 weeks. You can already tell his life's changing in front of him. And he's in here, and he's just wide-eyed and bushy-tailed. And all of a sudden, it's, oh, and by the way, here's Jamond. He's the owner of Definition Cigars. And it was just this, like, Michael Jordan walked in the room. He's like, holy shit, just the whole thing. It's
Unbelievable.
unbelievable.
I mean, yeah, it's all relative, man. It's good people.
Yeah, but life is relative.
Yeah.
Life is relative. This shit we're talking about, all the problems that we're exploring, it's relative.
Yeah.
If the world thinks it's okay for kids to roll around on the floor, or parents think it's okay to put kitty litter boxes because their kid identifies as a kid, as a cat,
as a cat.
it's like, if that's okay, then it's all relative and it's okay.
Right.
I believe that the energy you put out is
That's right.
what you're going to get back.
Yep.
Case in point to this establishment and the expansion. You don't put out what you don't get back. And I've been in peril, and I hate to do this here, but business is tough. Business sucks. Business does suck. And you become in peril because your heart is your heart. You feel. 'Cause I'm human,
Yeah. You invested.
but I'm also a businessman.
Right.
Relative to what you're saying is making sure that you're conscious of what you are still doing, and making sure you're intentional in how you operate and move as an individual is highly important.
Well, see, that's why a lot of people don't become entrepreneurs,
If it was easy, everybody would do it.
because of what all the peaks and valleys, all the emotions that you have to endure as an entrepreneur. It is not for the faint at heart, right? Everyone thinks you're just gonna get in business, make money, and everything's gonna be peachy. That is far, far, far. You're gonna have more failures than you are gonna have wins, But those who stay in it, right, you will see the light at the end of the tunnel.
If your mindset is we win some and we learn some,
Yep.
Not
You'll
win
succeed.
some, learn some.
not you win some and you learn some, not lose some.
I like
You
that.
got to learn. So
I like
that.
Yeah, you're not going to
That's
lose.
life, though, isn't it? It's life.
B, talk about mindset. Like on a previous podcast that you used to have, we spent a whole segment on mindset. and it's so important. You talk about it a little bit, man.
You know,
Share,
I
Brandon.
think mindset has to come from the right place. I think mindset is reflection. I don't know if there's a particular direction, but where we find ourselves now is a mindset of excellence never shuts off, ever. You can't turn the open sign off on your mindset.
Nope.
It's like, are you going to get up and go, or are you not? Regardless. Yeah, you're tired. Yeah, you got kids at home. Yeah, you didn't sleep for shit.
Yeah.
But you got to be right.
Gotta get
And
up.
when it comes to the difficult situations, we're currently faced with one and multiple, but that's part of business. But
Right.
you have to find yourself in a point of creating a culture of excellence.
Right.
You have to,
Yeah.
or whatever culture you want to create, but that comes in the mindset, and you have to keep other people in mind with that, right?
But where did you learn that from?
Pops, always.
See there?
I mean, it's like if
That's the
if I can-
foundation.
yeah, the foundation is. I think the key of success for any parent, for any father, is if your kids want to be respected and you want to be accepted by your father, then you succeeded.
That's right.
I mean, I think if I walk into a room and I'm respected the way that Pops is, I've succeeded.
Bang.
If my kids look at me the same way that I look
Bang.
at my dad, I've succeeded.
Bang.
Right.
The rest is all details. And when it comes into this particular space where we're sitting in an industrial cigar company, if people can feel our conviction to their experience, we've succeeded.
Right.
And there are difficult things. There are small details. There are things that we have to put up certain policies. There are certain
Yep.
things we have to do
Right.
that aren't comfortable for us, but we have to know why we're doing it.
Right.
You know, and there are certain things that have to exist that we just have to relay the message of. This isn't for
not
us to make
this.
millions
Right,
of dollars.
right,
Yeah,
right,
this
right. Yeah,
we're
yeah.
not in this for money.
Yeah.
We're not. If we were in this for money, I wouldn't be driving a 300,000 mile fucking Honda Ridgeline from 2006.
Right on.
Okay, that's not what we're in this for.
Right.
We're in this for an experience, and I'm proud to be a part
And
of
giving
it.
something back to the community.
Pops, what's
To create a place for it.
Right.
thought on mindset approach?
You know, I it's humbling to listen to my son say these things. I think I always take everything back to being a dad, right? I think that my mindset as soon as I had kids is this is my number one job.
That's right.
Yeah.
Number one
Kids are not
priority.
an inconvenience.
That's right.
And I know parents and families that have disintegrated because dad went and did his thing and mom raised them. And I was raised by a single mom. So, and I understand that. But when you have a kid, that is your most important job.
That's right.
When you have kids that are your most important job. I always said my job is to raise 3 good men. That was it. And I was going to be hyper focused on that. I've carried that mindset into my professional career to make sure that I'm maybe helping people that work for me grow, but I also know this isn't going to be their last place they're going to work. I want them to be better at their next job. Because particularly here, this is a stepping stone. Nobody's making this a career working,
Right.
in a shop for
Right.
$50 an hour.
Right.
But if we can make them better to go out and continue to grow, it's building
succeeded.
foundation.
Yeah.
But to Brandon's point, just never take a play off. You just can't.
You
You just can't.
Did you play football?
Yeah. Football, basketball, baseball.
Do you remember a play where you took it off?
No.
I do.
No.
I remember one play.
How bad did you get hit?
It's not even that. I could have caught the ball. I remember the play at
Was it
Plattsmouth
football?
in football.
Plattsmouth?
It was an out route. It was a black 32. I remember the play, the time. I remember the way the grass felt. I remember the way the air felt. And I could have caught it, but I just stuck my hand out there. That play.
What does that feel like? I don't know
It
what
feels
that
like
feels
regret.
like.
You
wish you could
I
get it
don't-
back.
I
It
don't
feels
know
like
what
regret.
that feels like.
It feels, it's beautiful if you open up. It's beautiful because even in the gym, I'm not training for anything. I'm not an athlete anymore. But even in the gym, now I'll give it 2 more reps. Give it 2 more reps. You're hurting now. It's not gonna hurt that. It's not gonna hurt that much more to do 2 more reps.
I think mine was in business. You know, when you they say if you type an email angry,
You'd have to walk around.
read it, and then delete it.
And then leave it.
Yeah.
I knew that, but in
And
this
you sent
instance,
it.
I sent it.
Yeah.
Oops.
I sent it.
Josh Sims has done that before.
I sent it.
Yeah.
And
Here's a tip for you kids out there.
yeah, and looking back, it was out of emotion.
Yep.
And I had always prided myself on not acting out of emotion,
Yeah.
especially from a business standpoint, right? And in this instance, I was right, but I was wrong in how
I
I
handled
went
it.
about. And
Yeah,
I
okay.
was like,
Yeah,
God,
you
I
lost. I have one.
lost.
I have one key that's worn out of my keyboard, and it's backspace. I'll type out something that's going to light somebody's ass
Yeah.
on fire.
Yeah.
and then nope, I better back
It
that up.
did. It really did. And I was right in my position, but I was wrong in sending it out to the universe.
Yeah,
And
and
it came back.
I think it goes to your very, very good question, Jamond, which is let's talk about mindset. And the mindset cannot be now. Because if it's now, it's the emotion of the fight you're in. But if it's horizon, then for instance, last week was a 7-day week. I worked 7 days. This week I'll work another 6. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about being tired
mindset.
because I'm going out there. I'm
Right.
going on the horizon. It's like if I go on the horizon, we're gonna be all right.
Right.
It's like be okay with Sean Ratz is one of those type of guys.
Yeah.
Be okay with putting in the time now. You gotta go. Law of compounding interest. Be better always.
That's right.
And enjoy the suck, man.
Because your kids are watching.
Always.
Exactly.
Your children are watching.
I work from the house.
Yeah, they're watching. They're watching how your emotions. They can feel the energy even when we don't think.
Yep.
You know, they're watching how dad, mom handles certain situations. Right.
Oh, yeah. No doubt about it.
Even when it's hard, if he's laying in bed or if he's getting out, regardless, tired or not, sick or not.
Yep.
You know
And
what
to
I mean?
fast forward to where we at, T-Nick, nobody gives a fuck.
No. Right.
Nobody gives a fuck.
Right.
They want the end product.
Yeah.
of
Right.
all your hard work.
Look at-
They just, and B, to what we were talking about at the beginning of the podcast is you put something out that ain't right. Can you ever come back from that?
No. That's
Nobody gives a
product,
fuck.
That's children. That's everything.
That's everything.
I remember I had an operation last year. My 4-year-old son, it didn't matter to him because guess what? Dad still takes him for walks. He still likes to get on my shoulder. And I was
Didn't you have
struggling.
your knee, right?
No, it was something else.
Okay, I got you. Got you.
But I had to still, be a man, be a father, and, take that kid for his walks. You know what I mean? Put him on my shoulder even when I was struggling to walk.
Yep.
And man, and it just made it in his mind, you never know what that meant. Later on when he gets older, I'll be able to tell him. And he will be able to appreciate that even with his children. When you don't feel like it, when you're tired and sick, you still got to get up and get in the game.
Yep.
Got to get up.
Let me ask you this because we're all fathers at the table. I think there are a lot of fathers who are watching. I'm curious your approach because this is my approach. I don't know if it's right or if it's wrong. I'm looking for a little counsel here. And for those who are watching, please feel free to chime in. I'm trying to be the best dad I can be. But my dad is really the first generation of greatness. I'm trying to achieve a level of greatness in my life. And I'm trying to pass on an element of greatness. And I feel it to be my role to educate my children what greatness means, but importantly, how good they have it. So when we talk about, I speak about with Alessia because my oldest, she'll ask questions that just annoy the fuck out of me, to be honest. I love her with everything, but she asks these questions and you realize, mommy can't put you to sleep tonight because after you go to sleep, I have to make your lunch, make Elias's lunch, do your laundry, get your clothes ready. I have to get your breakfast ready. I've got to get ready. I got to get my stuff put together. Like all of these things. And I lay it out. This is why you're lucky because you have two parents who love you, who commit themselves to you. And when you're deep asleep, we're still working for you. What do you think do you think that's right to be clear and communicative about those items and say, this is why you're lucky? Or do you think it is better to just act and then one day they'll learn that from a parent?
It's funny you say that because my older children, I did the same thing. You're lucky. When you have fathers who have left for whatever reason, my oldest, I have a 31-year-old and a 25-year-old, right? And I'm like, you're lucky. You had a father that spent time, invested time and whatnot. But now with my 4.5-year-old, I'm like, I'm just gonna act. I'm gonna show him the behaviors. And then to your point, allow him later on when he grows up to come back and tell me how he felt lucky. Because I thought that I was maybe putting it in their face, my oldest to it, in their face how lucky they were. It was almost like spiking the ball. Like you should be happy.
That's my apprehension.
That I did this and I did that. Look at those girls down the street there that didn't have a father.
Yeah.
And it kind of creates a little resentment. And maybe I'm being a little manipulative at the same time to get them to buy into what I'm trying to, to teach them. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
That's what made me feel a little dirty. You know,
it's just growth. You know, we're mature.
It's I think
that's my first go, so I don't know. So please,
but I think that if you go back to selling 101, tell them what they're going to get, do it, and then come back and say, "See, I told you."
Yeah,
and you could accomplish the same thing if you put up your little video, set it up on time lapse, and just let it record you making their lunch and all that stuff, and go, "Hey, this is what I was doing last night when you were sleeping."
Right.
And I'll never forget this side story. I was with Bose Corporation, one of my first rep jobs, and Amar Bose.
My favorite system, by the way. Speakers, by the way.
But Amar Bose, we were at this national sales meeting, and he goes, "We're going to teach you guys how to sell." So he goes over to this light switch, and he goes, "This is the latest technology. It's a button, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to push that, and it's going to de-illuminate the room. And then I'm going to push it again, and it's going to illuminate the room." Pushes the button, it goes dark. He pushes the button again, it goes on. He goes, "See, I told you." It took the "see, I told you" after the demonstration. So, and I think that's where a lot of it is with kids. You could exhibit that, but sometimes you have to circle back around and go, "See, I told you."
Yeah.
And that just shows that it completes the whole transaction, so to speak.
Right.
And that's what it's all about. We do it with cigars every day. We can talk about it. We can get it in their hands, but it's that coming back around and going, "What did you think of that cigar?" Yeah.
Because there's no manual.
That's what closed that loop.
There's really no manual, no guide.
No.
For parenthood, for fatherhood, right? It's really trial and error. We're trying to figure the thing out along the way.
And this is a selfish question to your point.
Right.
I don't know if it's the right approach.
Right.
I don't know.
Now, I have 2 girls, right? And I have 1 son. I've never raised a boy before. I'm trying to make sure that I'm not doing too much, too little, and sometimes I just take my hands off and just let it ride, let it ride.
The only advice that I did naturally that I would highly recommend is as soon as kids understand English, they understand language, is start putting the fear of God in them about drugs.
Especially now.
Josh and I were just talking about that. What happens if you do drugs?
Yeah, I'm gonna die or you're gonna kill me.
I always
Either way, you're gonna die.
When you were 6 years old, if you guys ever do drugs, the drugs better kill you because I will.
But here's the thing.
And that was always the thing.
The drugs now will kill you.
Yeah.
Fentanyl is the #1 killer.
Wow.
Between 18 to 40. The #1 killer in the country is fentanyl.
When I was coming up, man, I never had the urge to do any drugs.
Yeah, I had the fear of God.
Like, I'm like,
What do you consider drugs?
cocaine, heroin.
Yeah,
drugs.
I don't think marijuana, no.
Yeah, no, I
I hate it when they call marijuana dope. You know what I'm like? I'm like, I'm not doing dope.
but I grew up in the cocaine era in the 80s and stuff.
Yeah.
When that was, and I saw what it did to people. And I've never done a drug in my life, but I always knew that I drank at one point and I stopped drinking because I have an addictive nature. I knew
can't
that
just
this
have
could
one.
hook me.
Yeah.
So I'd rather just not do it.
Right,
I
right.
just had enough common sense at that point.
Right.
But I'm thinking, if these guys are anything like me, it's only got to be good once. And then,
You gotta be
Yeah,
good
I
one.
mean, you say that, and I've got a very expensive driving simulator because I drove a car once on a
Right,
track.
right,
So yeah,
right,
you're
yeah.
probably right. You're probably right. Jay, you're quiet over there.
No, I just feel some type of way about this topic. We've talked about this on other topics. As a dad, it's important to me, and I'm in a separated relationship with kids, so I don't feel that I'm, the best dad that I could be if being around, but and growing up the way that I did, I'm on the latter half of what you said. So a lot of things that transpired with my dad that my mom never told me to protect me, and it was important. My grandmother never told me, and it was important in my own growth to give me the opportunity when I was old enough to ask questions. They created an environment to make sure that I was good and that I didn't feel that I was missing something because of something that wasn't there.
Circumstances, right.
Yeah. So on the latter end, in that perspective, I would say the latter worked for me. And I think, Brandon, I would offer that it's not definite for just every situation. I think it's that's the wonderful thing about parenthood. Is you get the opportunity to choose based on knowing your family and your children or what works. But for me, that worked in not being given all the details at 9 and 10 years old.
Right. And you know what? And I think we shouldn't. Similarly, my father, he since passed away, and they protect us. But as an adult, he and I, two men, were able to have
Conversation.
a conversation. And I was like, okay, I understand now. Because when you're growing up, you get one side of the story.
Right.
Right? You get one side of the story. But then, if God willing, you get older, you can say, well, what happened? And they give you the other side. I can see. Yeah. I understand.
As an adult.
And that was a healing time
Most
for me
definitely.
Yeah.
to get the other side of the story.
Are you? Did your parents were separated?
My parents divorced when I was young. Yeah.
Where were your parents divorced?
Yeah, and we're never together.
Never together. My parents divorced, and that's the conversation that Ali and I have. Is like, divorce carries a long time.
Yeah.
A long time. I'm 33. I'm still a young buck, but nevertheless, my parents divorced when I was probably 8. I still carry that stuff.
Really?
Still,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
the majority of my life, and you still carry those things. I remember being 8, 9 years old and thinking, "Who am I supposed to love more?" That shit carries with you. I mean, you guys have lived it. It just is what it is. But then we get to go to the F1 race last year, and we're smoking cigars, driving down to Austin for the race. And we get to have this cool conversation that I don't know if you know how cool that conversation was to me, but it was a fun, open, unguarded,
Right.
felt like a man-to-man conversation.
Right.
You know,
Right.
we got to have that. It's
Right.
healing. I
Right.
think, as you say it. you
Yeah,
know.
and it probably was this way with your dad, but for me, it was. I'm glad I got to have.
Right.
I'm glad I got to clear the air.
Right.
But
that's right.
For a lot of it, you just kind of you don't want to create friction.
Right.
You just and I was kind of hoping the boys would connect the dots themselves, which for the
Right.
most part they did.
Right.
But it was, you just don't speak ill of people.
Right.
You know,
Right.
that talk. So it was just, it would be. that's the easy way out.
Right.
You know,
That is-
Right.
Just set the example you want to set.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
That's spot on right there.
Deep conversation.
Deep conversation, deeper than
I
I
hope
expected it to
everybody's
be.
hanging with us and enjoying the conversation.
They absolutely
Danny,
are.
Dan, of course, we got Sean is coming in, Marty's coming in, Junior's
No,
coming in.
yeah, and I do want to say thank you guys so much for being a part of the conversation.
Thank
It's
everyone.
So
It's
Junior,
awesome.
Junior said he had the fear of my mom not to do drugs.
yeah, that's a scary part. The fucking
I
drugs
was
will kill you
always
now.
like, I was carried with me if I got into some real trouble, how it would affect my mother. Like,
That's what kept me.
if she
out,
got
bro.
the phone call because she have a heart attack and die. I mean, I literally would process that, right? And so I always, took that with me and thought about things that I chose to get into or not to get into, how it was going to affect my family, how it was going to affect my mother.
My mom always used to say, because this is pre-cell phones. She was always convinced when I was out at 16, 17 years old, 18 years old, running around with my friends. She goes, I hope you know every time you go out, I'm convinced that you're going to be dead in a ditch.
Wow.
So then I would always think that's her fear. So I'd always tell the guys, hey man, slow down. Or if you've been drinking, hey, let me drive or whatever the case, because I didn't want her fear to
That's
come
right.
true.
That's
You know,
right.
so
right.
it was weird how I would
Right.
tell guys that were kind of balls to walls, man, why don't you slow down a little bit around this corner?
Right.
You know,
Right.
Yeah, but I think what you did, which I think works better, was you monitored who we hung around with.
That's right.
So it was like,
right.
and you said a million times when I was a kid, guilt by association.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right.
I didn't want to be in a situation where I got myself. I had a quick ripcord. Man, I would pull that ripcord quick. If the situation was getting hairy, boy, I was fucking out of there.
It's funny you say that because today in class, there was 4 guys sitting along the wall, and they were talking loud after I told the class to bring it down. And I looked over there, and I'm like, you guys are still talking. It was 4 of them. And the one kid was like, that wasn't me. And I said, well, you're with those 4 guys, guilt by association.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to be caught with them for talking, go to the other side of the room.
Right.
I said, that's a lesson to carry for life.
Yep.
And he got up and moved. But,
Yeah.
those
true,
things
though.
still work.
Yep. Yep.
That's true.
I told the kids when they're in middle school and stuff, you can pick your nose, but I'm picking your friends.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And I remember justifying friends.
Yeah.
New friends,
Yeah.
you justify him. Yeah, he doesn't drink. Yeah, he doesn't drink.
Right.
Yeah, he doesn't, he's a good kid. I'm
Yeah.
justifying my
His
friends.
mom and dad's at home.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
all of those things because that matters. Because the main difference, the reality of the situation is for those of you who know, for those of you who don't know, there were 4 Frakes bros. Okay. 3 of them lived with Pops, and the one of them is not with us anymore. Right?
Right.
I mean, there's a reason why. Now, we don't know exactly the reason why he passed away, but he chose bad friends.
Right. Right.
And when we went to his funeral service, and me at 30 years old having to MC my brother's funeral and welcoming his friends that talked about all of their recovery stories,
And we met
was-
him in jail.
that was
and we did
fucked
the,
up.
we did
That was a fucked up situation. I don't want this whole group of enablers
Right.
because he chose bad friends.
Right. Right.
Meanwhile,
Right.
snapshot, you've got Nathan who couldn't fucking read until he was 18 years old, and he's the owner of a business.
Right. Right. Right.
You choose your friends,
Right.
and you are who you surround
That's
yourself
right.
with.
That's true.
And that's the beauty of this place.
That's right.
Everyone who's in this building, I want to be around.
Right. See, I have this thing. I don't want to be around no one that doesn't have anywhere to be tomorrow or nothing to lose.
because you don't know what they'll do.
That's right. That's right.
Yep.
If they don't have anywhere to be tomorrow, they're subject to do anything. If they have nothing to lose, they're subject to do anything.
Yeah.
I don't want to be around. I don't want to be in that environment or around those folks.
No.
Yep.
No. Do you guys find that there are people that that it's difficult for them to disconnect from somebody and just unplug from somebody that
Oh yeah.
bad people? They just
Yeah.
it kind of seem to continue to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Right. Enablers,
And,
like
and,
he is.
and they stay connected and maybe enable.
Yeah.
You know, and man,
Making
some of you guys
excuses for
just,
'em.
Yeah,
I'm done with
exactly.
you.
Shit relationship.
I'm done with you.
You gotta have the balls. I've got a
man,
friend
I'm
that I've
done.
been friends with for 20 years.
Yeah.
I ain't got time for you.
Nope.
I ain't got
Nope.
time for you.
Nope. Nope. You can't come around my
can't.
house, my family.
Nope.
No. Nah.
Yeah.
Man, and if that doesn't force you to look in the mirror,
Yeah.
then you got a
Nothing
problem.
will. Yeah.
Then you got
Yeah.
a problem.
Right.
Should we hit him with the big three?
Yeah, let's hit him with the big three. Let's soften this thing up. 'Cause,
Yeah, now it's going to get real serious.
all right, but Jay already knows the big three because he's run through it, and he probably has
ready
one of
for
the
it.
better big threes. All right, so these are judgment questions. Our viewers will judge you.
Yep.
This is character judging.
Yes.
All right.
Out loud, Josh Sims will judge you. Corey Walker's going to judge you all the way through.
Better take me a sip. It's
This
getting deep.
is from 1 to 10. 5 doesn't exist. 1 is absolutely no. 10 is absolutely yes. 5 doesn't exist. We're going to hit you.
Let's go.
But
Jay-
before you
Jay-
answer the question, we have to determine what you guys are going to say.
No, but Jay's got to be part of the panel here of
Yeah.
asking question because he already knows.
Yeah.
Jay, do you want to hit him with the first question?
No.
No.
Do not.
All right. First question. Don't answer. We're going to answer what we think you will do based on what we've learned from you so far.
right.
Yeah.
So, Sasquatch, does it exist or not? No.
Oh, Jeffrey's saying.
Yeah.
You're saying he's a 3? Yeah. I say I'll go with you. I'll ride with you. I think he's a 3.
I think.
Where you at, Jay? Where you think he sits?
Well, who sits?
T-Nick.
4.
We know you're a 1.
Yes.
Tell me what those numbers mean again.
Well,
One
10
is
means, 10
no.
means you shared a campsite with him.
Oh, okay.
Right.
One is just it's
Okay.
it's a guy in a suit that just
All right.
can't wait to get shot by deer
What's
hunter.
that?
Yes.
On bunny count.
Yeah.
On bunny count.
Right.
Yeah. You've seen Nate, right?
Right. Okay. I
All
got you.
right, T-Nick, where you at?
It doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist.
That's a 1.
That's a 1.
That's a one.
Yeah.
That's a 1.
right.
Good. Sub
All right,
5.
we're winning. All right.
All right, Jay, you're a 1. I'm gonna hold off on Jay's. Yeah, but you've got an alien story. You guys were smoking blunts in the woods.
He was high.
You saw the Predator or some shit.
I bet. That was some good
This was
stuff.
about that time we talked. This is about, do I believe that there's extraterrestrial beings out there? And I said, yes.
Okay, so that's question number 2.
Do you believe extraterrestrials exist somewhere in the universe?
10.
What do you think T-Nick sits at? Look at the way that Wayne is looking at you right now.
T-Nick's educated, so I say he's probably.
I think he knows what
I think he's educated. He's
Hey Ted,
He's hokey pokey.
He sees the size of the universe.
spectrum of 1 to 10 on aliens, where do you think Anthony Nichols sits?
Yeah, I'm going 5. I'm going firm 9. 5 didn't count. If
Five
he
didn't
did
count.
4 or
So
6.
you're going 4 and 6. Okay,
All right,
good.
I'm going hard 9. I think he knows how big the universe is.
I'm going with the soft 7.
Soft 7.
Man, I do. And here's the reason why I got a little story.
It's okay. It's the internet. so
we
you
need
just
to
tell the
I was
truth.
about 10 years old. I believe it. And me and 2 guys were out in the neighborhood. I was living in California at this time.
Okay, Joshua Tree.
And we both think we saw a flying saucer. We weren't on drugs or anything like that. And it was just beaming above. I believe that there is some other life out there that we aren't aware of. And I believe the government knows.
I'm with you. And I also believe that redheaded women are aliens.
There's no proof against it.
Prove me wrong.
You find me a normal redheaded woman, and I'll change my opinion. But they're all batshit.
Final of the big 3. Even though Jay didn't talk about seeing Predator in the woods.
Bigfoot.
Isn't that what it was?
Yeah, it was just like it.
It was a bear.
Similar.
Similar.
All right.
Without the dreads.
Right.
Without dreads. It was similar though.
You guys were high.
How do you know it wasn't? How do you know it wasn't Bigfoot?
Did y'all run?
No, it wasn't Bigfoot Pops.
It wasn't Bigfoot.
It was a guy looked like you.
Like I look like me.
But didn't he have I mean, that's a pretty normal looking guy, though. Just a white dude.
The question I
There's a white guy that you know look appeared to be of Indian feather not red
No.
Oh, feather dot. Feather not
yeah.
red.
feather not dot
Okay.
descent.
what part of the country was this in?
It was in
no.
Virginia. I'm from.
Yeah, Virginia.
Walked into the woods, you know, badass kids that we were running around and man, his head went all the way back and you know we saw
Tentacles.
And you were high then, right?
it was not I was smoking weed then, T-Nick.
All right, I have to go with it.
All right.
I have to go with it.
All right. We're all +5 sitting at the table, I think.
All right.
So the final
So
is.
did you run a 440 leaving the woods?
We left
yeah.
out.
Guaranteed.
We left out of there.
Guaranteed level of burning trail.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
The final element is a two-parter. One of which, the first part is, do you believe in ghosts, physical apparitions of the spiritual world? And the second part is, do you believe in spirits, some sort of connection, whether we can manifest it or not? Just if something happens to someone, do they get a chance to reach back to you?
10 and 10.
He's from North O.
He's from North O, so I know he knows where Hummel Park is. I know
He's
he's
seen
been
the
to all
albinos.
that stuff.
He's
Yeah,
seen
he's
the
seen the
albinos.
albinos, all that.
Counted the
10 and
steps.
10. Yeah.
10 and 10.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go 9 on the apparition. I'm gonna go 10 on the spirits.
Did your house have a front porch on it?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
I'm
Who's in
going.
North
Yeah, I'm
Omaha?
going 10 and 10.
One on no ghosts.
One?
One on no ghosts. I don't believe in ghosts,
Okay.
but I do believe in spirits.
So 1 and 10.
1 and 10.
1 and 10.
1 and 10. Do you have a story on the 10?
My mother's deceased, and I mean, and my grandparents. I've had conversations with them, live conversations with them. You know, whether it was dreams or whatever, clear as freaking day, clear as day, and woke up like, what in the heck? Yeah, it was so real,
Yeah.
right? But ghosts, nah, man, I don't believe in ghosts. I don't believe
That's some white people shit.
See, Nick, here's my story. So my oldest daughter, she's 22 now. When my grandfather was living, we went back to the house that I was raised in. And my daughter was 2 at the time, never met my grandmother. My grandmother passed away in that home. And I'm talking to my grandfather in the front room, and you know, kids being kids. She's 2. She's running around the house that I'm comfortable. Like, go, yeah, go run around where your daddy grew up at. And I called my grandmother Nanny, and
He didn't know this.
she's 2.
Right, gotcha.
She can't.
All right.
If I said it, she can't comprehend it.
Right.
She is running around the house saying, "Nanny, wait up, Nanny, hold on."
Oh,
Nanny.
No.
nobody had been smoking.
She's young.
Was she smoking blunts in the woods?
You smoking?
No.
All right.
Was not smoking. Was there? It's my grandfather.
Right.
That's the guy. I'm not coming there high.
Right. Okay. Okay. All right.
Yeah, that's Don Cartagena.
Right.
In my life, right? So, you know, we go back and I'm like, baby, what are you doing? She says, as a baby, I'm following Nanny. She's walking around saying Nanny, Nanny,
And you're
Nanny.
like, how in the heck
Nanny.
does she know?
That's crazy.
Did y'all sell the house?
They burned it to the ground.
Right.
Nope.
It would no. But my only point is that as a young child, my nanny
must have
passed away
seen,
in
yeah.
there. My nanny passed away in that home, so she's
Yeah, she's seen
tapped
that.
into it to her as a small child.
So with that, it is confirmed.
Wow.
Spirits and
Confirmed.
ghosts.
Yeah.
Both real.
10
Yeah.
and
10,
10 and 10. Right.
Gentlemen, thank you so
It's a
much. What
pleasure.
an
It's a great
awesome
time.
Man, this seemed
conversation.
like it was a deep.
It was deep.
It was not. It was
good.
not light.
Yeah.
It was not scripted.
no.
Never
Straight
Script mess it up.
never-
no, no, that was incredible.
We didn't go off a PowerPoint today.
No.
Right.
T Nick, Jamond, thank you guys.
What should people say? Any last
words?
for the people? Anything?
Oh yeah, okay.
Anything
Sean
we
Rats. Okay, I've got good faith.
excuse
Oh no, my bad. I've got great faith in T Nick because he's from a great place. Not the top 3, but how do you take your steak?
Oh, I'm a brother.
Oh no,
Well done.
oh no,
Well,
no, you don't.
No.
okay, all right.
You put that moniker out there. Damn, TD.
Medium well, no pink, no red,
No blood.
no blood.
He wants it well done.
No.
You get you kicked out of Nebraska.
Even my prime rib.
no,
That's
bacon.
wait, you can't get a prime rib.
Even my prime
No,
rib.
that's wrong.
Yeah.
That's
Coming in next week from the Drover.
God dang, that was the best.
Well, it was a good show till then. Thank you so much for everyone for joining us.
Appreciate y'all. Thank
This
you.
is Cigar Talk Live, our Tuesday get together. Please join us on Saturday at the shop. Salud, gentlemen. Cheers. Thank you so much.
This was fun.
Thanks, guys.
Yes, sir.
Love piece of chick grease. We out.
Good times, man.
It's a wrap.